Anyway, I think we concentrate on two main topics. First, how do we deal with existing parks? And second, how do we, for the future, secure new parks? About that. This is a bit improvising because we are really shortening this. So we heard about, it made me very optimistic listening to you from both from Italy and from Spain. So first, Annalisa, can we, and we are all here engaged in the Swedish parks and not least the Stockholm big national city park. Can we learn from each other? Can you give us things that would be beneficial for us from Rome, from the work you've done in Rome?
Yeah, I think on the contrary, perhaps I could say what I can learn from Stockholm. But I think that lessons that I'm learning from Rome currently is that perhaps we can obtain a lot of results just making very, very little work. Because we are there complaining, for example, oh, that I don't like that park, it's not so refined, design is so pure. So there are many, many reasons I can complain about that park. But at the end, the lessons we are learning is that if we collect together it is really the main work at the word, I think. Together, all this stuff, they are creating something that is more ambitious and more effective than just the single. And so perhaps if we think about large parks, before someone told that large parks are better than small parks. But what if a collection of small parks that are very close one to each other, so it's not just a way to dot the city, but it's really a sort of necklace that we can collect and go through one after another. What if we build a large park just working with this step, a little step, one after another? I think this is a great lesson, and I'm very surprised, I have to be honest, from my city, because Rome was very, very silent in last years compared with other cities in Europe. But perhaps this silent strategy to make little by little is something very, I think, effective and powerful for future. Even, and I'm finished, in the perspective of maintenance, because we have something little to take care of. You can divide maintenance and not have a huge effort of making a lot of maintenance, but making single events, single spots, perhaps it could be even more easy to be maintained and carried.
I will get back to to how to take care of the parks, and also not least the money issue, which is very important. I just wanted to know: has this process in Rome been filled with conflicts, or has it been more? Everybody agrees to this.
Yeah, we have conflicts. For example, I show you the project that I designed. That is the one along the Tiber that was funded by Poste Italiane. That is a private company, and so we have some conflicts because where private and public starts or ends their role. But I think that if we have a very clear statement and a very clear contract, I think that we can work together. And so, for example, having funding by private that anyway can guarantee that the use is for public could be perhaps a way to overcome conflicts. Because if we don't have the private, for example, we have just an overlaying of different administrations. We have the region, and then the city, and then the municipality, and no one of them will be able to take the table and say, okay, let's do that. And so when we have a private subject, it was able to really create the condition for.
Okay. Finally, before turning to Spain and Alberto, has there been a unity across the political borders?
Yeah, exactly. It was that.
Okay.
It was that. I want just to complain about something that it is very hard to know about the designer.
Pardon?
About the designer. No one is mentioning the author of this project. Even the municipality, even the mayor of the city is speaking about these parks, not speaking about the people who are designing it. And I think really it's important because if you know that something is made by someone who has the skills, you can appreciate it better. if I know that this pen is designed by, I don't know, Giugiaro Pininfarina, or you prefer, I think that it has a value because I know that someone very skillful take cares about that. And I think that we have to really ask for having high quality parks and also high quality design. And so they are the results of a lot of people that are not just politicians, but they are designers who have a lot of responsibility in good as well as in bad.
Okay, thank Alberto. Do you have lessons to be learned for us from your work?
Well, yes. I think that Annalisa says something that is we make a lot of little parks that more or less make a big park. And I want to say as well that parks is one of the very few things that you cannot do the same thing one after the other one. For example, I have came to Stockholm and I have visited IKEA. Okay. Yes, typical tourist. Okay, I have one IKEA next to my house and I have visited the IKEA from Stockholm. More or less it's the same. If you go to a McDonald's, more or less it's the same. In Berlin, in London, in New York or whatever. If you go to a Hilton hotel, more or less it's the same. You go to airport, they are the same.
But if you go to a park...
It's almost impossible to find two parks that they are the same. Even in the same city, if you divide it in two, 10 hectares one park, 10 hectares another one, after 10 years will be different. Don't ask me why, but they will be different. Depends on the people, depends on the neighborhood, depends on the politician, depends on the environment. A lot of things will make different ways of turning and different ways of managing one park. So I think that you are in a very exciting moment that you are deciding for a park that is very important for you. And I think that is a lot of, you need to think and to collect a lot of ideas to put it in like in a cocktail to make it a great idea for the future. And I bet it's good to collect ideas from a lot of little places, but it's not a magical formula that is going to be a success because there are not two parks that they are the same in the world.
But I thought about that when you presented. It seemed to be a lot of different activities and a lot of different profiles on these different. Does that require different parks, or can one park? It needs to be pretty big if it should sort of harbor all those interests.
Depends. I mean, I think that if we are talking about Djurgården, how it's going to be in the future. I think that it's the best people that know is the people that they use Djurgården already. Yeah. How do we want? Because if you want to bring an idea, you can take small ideas all around. But if you want to copy a park that has been a succeed, even in Gothenburg or in Berlin or in Copenhagen, maybe the idea will not succeed here. So. I think that it's not easy.
But what I mean is that there could be conflicts of interest. So if your main concern is the green, the wildlife, then people started growing, or they want to have wild activities there, and then you get angry.
You might get angry, or you might. I mean, that depends. For example, the park that I was presenting, the mayor of the city was very clear. We have a lot of big parks. We have big areas, green areas, up and down, and we want activities to come here. That was the main goal. Could be wrong, could be the correct, I don't know.
But you mean coexistent works?
Of course.
Yeah? But does it require big enough areas?
You don't need. I don't think that you don't need, because how many hectares are we talking about? I'm not sure.
No? I mean, if you compare to this is a huge park here, so you could have people growing things, and you can have maybe even concerts.
19 square kilometers.
19 or 9?
19
square kilometers. Is very
27
big.
altogether.
I think it's
very Richard, the international. If you look at the overall picture, is that a picture of harmony or conflicts between people who want to do different things in the park?
In the large park, no, very little conflict. The conflicts are big parks are vulnerable to exploitation because big parks could also been
nib that bit by bit.
Yeah.
It's so big. We can just have this little bit. So that's the big problem. That's the big problem. The big park, the small parks, some of them are sort of iconic, like Kungliga Nationalstadsparken, Strömparterren, Berzelii Park. Very difficult to start building something right in there. But National City Park, big. We can expand 150 square kilometers. Albano has been done recently.
But it is the same abroad.
It's tougher to defend it, but popular support is
the key.
and Z in order to defend
That's the
these
key.
parks. Popular support. And we had a very strong support when this park was initiated. Today, people take it for granted.
Yeah.
So,
Henrik, what is your picture of the division between different interests?
If you have a large parks like Central Park, La Bois de Boulogne, and so on, you have often in squares there are typical fences. I went to Central Park and asked, why can't we build houses here? Because the parks is for everyone, was the answer. But our park is a little bit soft in the border, so it's very different. It's very soft in borders that you can step in and there, and it's other demands. We need apartment for students. Where should they be? In the Royal Park. A lot of demands that is aimed for the park because the land is very important. It's very, for a developer, it's high priced. So what we have to do is make a survey, an inventory. What is this green health worth? What is the ecosystem services against? What is that worth? And put it against the exploitation.
And then we're talking about monetary in the end.
Yes, and Thomas Elmqvist and his assessment team for they had a big assessment in Stockholm University. They do that. They calculate the good things about parks and put it against the exploitation demands. And there you can see around the Central Park in New York, you have the highest prices of the apartments.
Same here.
Because the green. And now you can look to Djurgården, you can 5 minutes to Liljanskogen. That is also costs, positive costs.
Before leaving this, how to fit in all these different interests in the park, I wanted to ask Sara, is this something you discuss? You talked about the Rosendal area, 60 hectares, and you have one prize winner, one sculpture every year. So in 60 years' time, there's one sculpture in every hectare.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, is this to be serious? I mean, because of course it affects the character of the park.
Of course. No, we want each and every artwork to have its space. And this is very, looking at Giuseppe Pennone's piece, for instance, it's not just these blocks of granite, which is the artwork, it is the whole surrounding. And that's very important for us, that you shouldn't look at one artwork and then see the other one in the corner of your eyes. It has to have a lot of space, and since we are working on a long time basis, and I think we have time to develop this, but we will not force it. I mean, it has to be done with great responsibility.
But the area is given, so to speak. It is these 60 hectares. That is,
Yes, that's what at least we want to begin with.
I wanted to ask Annalisa, because in Rome, talking about sculpture parks, Forum Romanum, you said something when we talked before here that it's so popular that it's no longer a park for the Romans.
Yeah, absolutely. In Rome, we have two different kinds of public spaces: the ones that are for Romans and the ones that are just for tourists and foreign people. And typically, the second one are the most precious, and it's absolutely crazy according to me. And for example, our archaeological sites are not attended by Roman people. You go there once when you are a child with your school, and that's all, because we have no reason to go back, because it's very expensive, because it's crowded. So we have lots of spaces that are not allowed for the citizens who are paying for. And so it's very important, I think, really to change the paradigm. Who these spaces are for? Who is expected to go there? Who is expected even to love that places? Because if you love a place, you can even reclaim for that. You can fight for having that. You can take care. Otherwise, it's just something that is in your memory, is not your part of your
But also,
life.
this is also a question of size, because if it was much bigger, then maybe people could find their way.
It's a matter of size, but it's even a matter, I think, of relations with the city around. Before you were speaking about the porosity of the borders, and it's very important. If you have a space that you can cross, you can go through, or if you have these so large spaces that are sort of a black hole in the city. There is Paola Viganò, for example, she's a very famous urbanist, Italian urbanist, who spoke about very large parks as a sort of heavier places. I know that is a paradox, but it could be so, because if it's night, you are in another way afraid to, or you are scared by passing through. These are really some spaces where you don't go in.
Yeah.
And this is exactly the same, for example, for large parks during the night, or it is the same for natural reserve that interrupt urban fabric. And it is the same for archaeological sites. I think that is not just a matter of the extension, but of the porosity and the ability to be crossed and create relation from all the sides around.
Albert, you mentioned there were some parks in Spain that were so popular, more popular than for their own good.
Yeah, no, that happened. The same with tourism. There are cities that get crowded of tourism, and that will start to be a problem. That happened as well to the parks. I mean, and the parks, they are not any longer for the neighborhood, because they cannot go there, because if they want to have a coffee, they, for example, that restaurant charge you like 3 times the normal price.
So the locals don't go there anymore.
The locals don't go there. And that happened as well because, I mean, the very touristic cities, they are getting touristic as well, first of all in the museums, in the hotels, but as well in the parks. So
But while you have the word, say something about the money, the different, you had 2 models of public and private and strictly public.
Basically, because normally the parks needs to be maintained by the municipality. So the 100% normally in a lot of countries, the 100% of the money they go is public. But in the park that I was explaining, is the municipality give money, but they say you are allowed to collect money from things that you do in the park. So it's a way, it's a figure that the park can get money in sponsorship, renting spaces, doing a lot of things, and that money goes not to have more money, goes to invest inside the park. So that's a way of managing that you can get much more money, and that money goes directly for the
You
park.
think that's a model that Sweden could look at?
I don't know.
No.
I mean,
Henrik,
I'd rather not say anything.
do you believe that? Yeah. You were, I should add, Henrik Waldenström was the innovator of the motto, värna, vårda, visa, show, maintain and tell, or show. But do you believe in such a model? Because there is a shortage of money for the maintenance.
Yes, but we have a royal administration that have a lot of events that gives money. So I think event that doesn't harm the park, it could be a very good thing to stabilize the economy. And I think we can do much more. In the beginning, we had a lot of tourism in the park with Strömma. It was bus trips every day, there was boat trips every day, and people got this mental protection that this was important. And now it's not as much as it was. So I think more tourism in the park should be yes,
And so-
well
so-
planned. We cannot be afraid of more boat trips around the park.
And Sara, would you say that the sculpture, the value of the sculpture, the attraction, that could contribute to this mental protection of
Yeah,
the park?
definitely. And I think that, I mean, we were talking about Forum Romanum. That is, if you consider that a sculpture park, that's artworks that were made to somehow talk about the power of kings or goddesses, whatever. But what we are doing is that we are finding artworks that are cherishing and raising questions about human life and our contemporary life. And I think that's something that is really interesting for each and everyone, not only Swedes, but for tourists and everyone.
Could this Princess Estelles Foundation, you're definitely now an actor on Södra Djurgården, the southern part of the park. Could that role also in the future include engagement for the maintenance of the park?
Yes, it could. It already does, because when we are installing a new work, for instance, it could be at a site in the park which needs to be restored, because we are also looking at old maps where you see how was the park 200 years ago. It might have been a path. It could have been so that you had sight lines which has disappeared after the maintenance maybe hasn't been perfectly during these years, in previous years. So we already do that, actually. Yes,
Okay.
we do.
And now I give the word to Rickard, because now we're moving into our final chapter. So if you give us 5 minutes, then we're done. But first, because I wanted us towards the end to get to the issue, will there be any new parks?
Yeah.
But before that, with your international overlook, this issue of maintenance, money for preserving, have you seen, are they solving this? Is not a problem, or is it a problem?
No, we discuss this all the time at Nationalstadsparksrådet, specifically the Royal Djurgården administration complains, why don't the cities contribute? It's us. We are going to pay for all of this maintenance, scrap and street lighting and whatnot. And the cities just stay mute, not paying. So I hope there will be an enforced pressure on the cities to do that. Solna, Stockholm, leading it to some extent.
Yeah, I will give you. I will just mention to you all that there was a substantial lot of money that was contributed thanks to a compromise about this highway through.
Freden i Bellevue, the peace in Bellevue.
There was a conflict about the highway, and it was allowed in the end because what was the price they had to pay?
100 Swedish million kronor.
Yeah, and I know that we have from the Swedish County Board, Johanna Lingen here, and you used it, and you made a lot of it, and they produced a booklet you can ask for with presentation of all the good projects that have been realized thanks to that money. To make the park a little better. That money is now running out, isn't it? Yeah. Yes. So the question is where to find money. We don't solve that today, but you agree that you wanted the word.
Yes, many projects even mentioned in Richard's book, and many projects abroad, especially in Germany, when you have a city dump, an old industrial area, a harbor, they often create parks, new parks in these areas. In Stockholm, the Stockholm concept that you have to always build on these areas.
That's true.
So that's why very few new parks are created, because all the industrial areas, Hjorthagen as yourself, are going to be very dense populated with houses, not new parks.
I had an example of my own. I was with my wife long ago in New York, and then the great landfill was called Fresh Kills at Staten Island. It was the biggest in the world. And this is become a beautiful wildlife park now.
It's a common concept
Yeah.
everywhere except
Yeah.
Stockholm.
So finally, Richard, you had one crucial observation regarding if we will have any new parks.
No,
What is needed?
You have to plan ahead. You have to take decisions that those people that take the decisions won't ever experience the results of. It takes so long to create these large parks. Think about our National City Park. It has experienced hundreds of years in order to come into existence, and by luck, by military exercise fields, and by this hunting park, the Royal Hunting Park. In Bombay, which is one of the stories I tell in the book, they started in the early 1950s, but they were locals. They were local environmentalists. They fought for this before the city was built all around it, and they succeeded. But they were out there 75 years ago, they started. So you have to start early. And how to get this into master plans of cities? I have been asking United Nations Urban Institute in Nairobi, do you have any picture? Do you know what's going on? Our Chinese cities, are they planning for parks? In Southeast Asia, in Africa, are they planning for parks? They don't have a queue. They don't know. We must get to know this and start advocating. There is, among the environmental goals for United Nations 2030, each and everyone should have access to greenery, specifically women and children.
So finally, I want to ask about this because it seems public support is the key thing because politicians listen if there is an opinion.
Yeah.
So what does it look like in Italy and Spain? Concluding.
I think that you have to feel people proud of parks, of their heritage, of their value, and this is absolutely importance to tell and to show, because if you have support, people will be there to reclaim. And then, as a politician, as an administrator, as a designer, you should answer the questions that are coming from the people. I think that is the stronger way. And so to make people aware of the value by their direct experience, allow them to be there and to enjoy this kind of situation.
Yeah.
For sure, even the lower and the more poorest kind of people that are in the city.
And create interest and engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. And even telling people the value, because sometimes it's not so easy to recognize it. For example, wilderness, I display a case of wilderness in the core of city. A lot of people could say, complaining, it's ugly, it's horrible, we are in the core of the city, we don't want to have a wilderness. But if you allow them to understand and to tell, this is beautiful. I was telling you before, beauty is a matter of power. Who's telling what is beauty?
It's also an ecosystem service, beauty.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so if you tell people, come on, look at this, and try to understand why this is beautiful, I think it's really the most important action to protect and to enhance even the future.
So, Alberto, is this the key to raise awareness and interest among people, or is it fear of floods and heat waves?
Well, that depends, yeah, because we are experimenting a lot of changes in the weather, and especially in Mediterranean cities like us, we haven't seen as much rain in a couple of days that we have seen in the last 10 years, and the next years they're going to be much more difficult.
And
sure.
Is the connection made that it could be good with parks?
The parks will help as well, but it's very complicated because there's a lot of things. There's other things like social, for example, people, immigrants that they come and they are living 5 people in a small apartment of 50, 60 meters with 1 or 2 kids. They need parks.
Yeah.
That people, they need space to be running and to be, because they are living in concrete places and the cities are getting bigger and bigger. Of course, they need parks. One of the things is in the last years, maybe they have changed the mentality and clean cities and making nice parks and nice sightseeing is, the politicians that those things get you votes. So votes. When you can win the elections, when your city is nice, is clean, have nice parks.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons that they are putting money
They are.
to make nicer cities.
So the interest is growing in Spain, both
Yeah.
in the public opinion and politicians.
Yeah, I think so.
Ja, du får säga 7 ord. Om de gör oss, if they make us hopeful.
Ja, det kan inte bara vara NGO som Rädda Djurgården eller Förbundet.
English, please.
It cannot be Save Djurgården or Association or Ekopark or NGOs that is fighting for these valuable parks. The community, the regional board and the state must step up and also do their share. I always see NGOs like the people in here doing enormous work, but this is a national city park, not the people at Djurgårdens city park.
But this anniversary year, there's been a lot of activity.
Yes, but community, regional level and the state must step up in the engagement.
Okay, that's the final words. Thank you very much.